Hello everyone, I've got some good information for you. Our first video and our first release of the new year is here. It's a bit technical at times, so be sure and rewatch this video and or ping me or our support teams with direct questions if something doesn't make sense. This release, which is named RIGS 5.2 in the app and Play stores, is called Backroads mode. It's our version of an offline mode for the app. You may not be aware of this, but this is a really difficult thing to accomplish for any app that has the volume of data like we have, and for one that is being updated twice daily like ours is. Let's get into what we've done for you in this release. I'll answer two questions. First, what does Backroads mode do? And then second, what are some best practices for using this new mode to make your day a little easier and smoother? So Backroads mode is simple from a user perspective really, but maybe a bit technical behind the scenes like I said. The app will just detect when you're in low connectivity area, meaning low bandwidth, like being in between cell tower coverages. It will also detect when you're not on Wi-Fi or even cell coverage at all, so no connectivity or zero bandwidth. Why is this important? Well, simply put, the app is constantly working in the background, making calls to our servers at Avaris, depending on the time of day or even depending on your actions in the app. For example, at 9:30 a.m. Central Time and 6 p.m. Central Time, if you've got the app open, it'll go out to get new data, like the RIGS dataset. Our teams at Avaris update that info at those times, so the app wants to fetch it to keep you on as current data as possible. The problem is really we need connectivity to do that. Now Backroads mode will detect that you don't have a connection, or even if network calls are failing for some reason, and it'll prompt you with a pop-up in the app asking you if you want to go into that Backroads mode. By choosing to enter this new mode in RIGS 5.2, you're telling the app to not make any updates or network calls to get new data updates for you as long as you're in Backroads mode. All of our directions and routing will still continue to work with the data you have on the phone, so you can find a rig and get the directions no problem. Now be aware, the activity counts and commodity prices on the dashboard screen, that info on the reports tab that you might be using, and inside the activity tabs won't work. None of that works since those make a lot of network calls and require a stable connection to refresh that info. For anyone using the app for driving directions, you probably aren't using those features in the field anyway, so you're good to go. For anyone that is using that functionality, well, you're probably in the office or somewhere on a stable connection, more than likely, and you won't be prompted to even enter Backroads mode. So everything works normally for you guys. So let's say the time is 8 a.m. Central Time and you go into this mode when prompted by the app. That means you're now working with last night's update from 6 p.m. Central Time, because it's not yet time to get an update in the morning. That window is at 9:30 a.m. If the time is, say, 10 a.m. Central Time and you're prompted to go into this mode, you'll be working with the latest info that was updated from just 30 minutes ago. So keep all this in mind. It's important to be aware of how current your data is, so we've got update timestamps in various places in the app to keep you informed. Now after the app has been 8 hours in Backroads mode, you'll be automatically prompted with a pop-up reminding you that you're in that mode. But you won't really even forget that because every tab on the app lets you know the status. For example, you'll see it on the dashboard, the map, and the other tabs as well. Notice on the map that red banner across the top. Here's where it's easy to disable Backroads mode just by pressing disable. Coming out of the mode is totally at your discretion and full control. The app will not come out of this mode until you tell it to. I'll tell you how to do that at the very end of this video. Okay, that's what Backroads mode is. Let's cover how to best use it in practice out in the field. If I was going to be driving to a rig site or multiple sites today and I knew I was going to be on good cell phone or better yet good Wi-Fi coverage all day, I wouldn't really change a thing in my behavior. Remember, the app detects when you've got a bad connection and will prompt you to enter Backroads mode if needed. If I knew, on the other hand, that I was going to be remote, in the middle of nowhere, mostly in and out of good coverage all day, I'd be waiting for that Backroads mode pop-up because it's probably inevitable that I'll see it at some point. When you do see that pop-up, tap on Enable and you're good to go. Just keep in mind about the time so you know how current your data is. If I thought I could be in and out of connectivity here and there, maybe a couple of times during the day, but connected reliably most of the day, I might press on the second or third options here, snooze for 2 hours, or don't ask again today. The only risk here is that if you're in a bad connection area around those two update times, 9:30 and 6, they might fail. They will, however, try again later and when you're connected, so it's not a big risk. Just remember to only choose those options if you think you've got good stable coverage most of the day and will only be out of service for short blips at a time. One thing to keep in mind is those times I mentioned earlier of 9:30 a.m. Central Time and 6 p.m. Central Time are really windows for updates. So imagine the first time you open the app for the day is 1 p.m. You haven't opened it for 2 days. Well, you obviously need an update to the datasets, and the app recognizes that and tries to retrieve the latest from 9:30 a.m. Central Time earlier in the morning, and it needs a connection to do that. If you don't have one, the refresh will fail. We call that daytime window. So the nighttime window, the same thing goes. We know some of you guys work crazy hours, so let's say you're working late and open the app at 10 p.m. Central Time, or even in the early morning hours like 4 a.m. It's also going to want to refresh the data for you based on the latest update from 6 p.m. early in the evening day before. Now that we know the nitty-gritty details here, here's a quick refresher to keep it simple for you. Number 1, if you have an unstable or no connection at all, the app will prompt you to enter Backroads mode as soon as it recognizes this. By enabling the mode, this allows you to keep using the data on the phone as of the last time it was updated, because we'll halt any behind-the-scenes update action in the app. Number 2, the app will remind you that you're in Backroads mode after 8 hours. You probably don't ever want to stay in the mode for longer than that, just because data will be stale. Lastly, number 3, it's really easy to exit or disable Backroads mode at any time you feel you've got stability with cell phone coverage or good reliable Wi-Fi. Simply press disable from the map tab or where you see it on the other tabs throughout the app. Once you do this, the app will refresh to get the latest data and you're good to go. Keep in mind that sometimes, even on good connections, the app can take a minute to refresh because of the volume of data it's trying to pull down. You may see blips on the map or even no data on the app until the app data is complete. So that's a lot of details for you, but feel free to watch this again and just reach out with questions or comments if you have them. Good luck out there. Have a great day.